It's September 12th, 2025, and I'm tracking some areas of showers and storms across the continental U.S., most notably in parts of Florida, but also through the southwest and also parts of the northern plains. Florida has seen a couple of days of these showers and storms across the area, and more heavy rain is expected through the day today. And there's storms across the northern plains going into parts of the Midwest, where we could see some heavy rain and even some gustier winds. However, the most notable threat is what's going on in parts of the Southwest, including specifically Colorado and New Mexico, where we could see some of the monsoonal rains cause some isolated flash flooding through the day today and into the day tomorrow. For the anticipation of heavy rain from this afternoon into Saturday, there is a flood watch across parts of Colorado, Utah, and New Mexico for the heavy rain expected into this afternoon and through tomorrow. Flash flooding is a possibility, so make sure if you are in an area that is flood prone that you have emergency alerts on your phone enabled and your phone fully charged as we continue to see these storms and showers make their way into the region. From the Weather Prediction Center, there is an excessive rainfall risk of a level 2 out of 4. Most of New Mexico is in this, but also parts of Colorado. The risk does shift slightly heading into Saturday, but notice New Mexico is still in that level 2 out of 4, but it also includes parts of Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas heading into Saturday's forecast. And here's a look at that forecast through the afternoon. Notice those showers and storms set up shop across parts of Colorado and New Mexico. This is where we could see that localized heavy rain for several hours into the afternoon today, and then shifting to Saturday's forecast, it moves eastward, getting on the eastern side of the Rockies, but could still see some heavier downpours, showers, and storms into the Rockies as well from parts of Colorado, but especially in parts of New Mexico into Saturday afternoon. So this is a multiple day event where we could see issues in New Mexico, so definitely be weather aware over the next 24 to 48 hours. Here's the rainfall forecast for this afternoon into tomorrow morning. Notice how there are some pockets of some really heavy rain, upwards of 2 inches for parts of southern Colorado forecasted and going into parts of New Mexico. Now, if this rain does funnel into some canyons in between valleys, the water could rise very quickly because it's falling on dry ground. So if you do live downstream of these locations and the rain is heavier upstream from you, you could have some issues. So definitely have those emergency alerts on your phone ready and your phone charged in case something happens through the day today. And as we head through tomorrow and into Sunday, the rainfall forecast moves eastward, but still could see heavy pockets of rain once again in New Mexico, but then shifting into parts of the plains. We also have a small area of level 2 out of 4 risk in parts of South Dakota today, but the risk will shift tomorrow into parts of North Dakota and Montana. It's the same system. It's going to be producing a few clusters of thunderstorms, but the risk isn't quite as high as parts of New Mexico. So as we head into the afternoon, you can see those showers and storms popping up through parts of South Dakota, even going into parts of the northern Midwest, Minnesota and Wisconsin and Michigan. But the focus of the stronger showers and storms will be in the Dakotas, where we could see potential for some isolated flash flooding. And then again, as we move into Saturday's forecast, that's more focused into parts of North Dakota as a second storm system moves into the plains with even more rain on the way. Here's that rainfall forecast through Saturday morning, and you can see the focus of that heavier rain in parts of South Dakota and even moving into North Dakota, where we could see even more rain going into Sunday afternoon. So some locations could see flash flooding, but yet again, the risk isn't quite as bad as the Southwest. Moving on to Florida, where we have a level 2 out of 4 risk once again for the Miami area. This has been going on for several days with storms popping up along the sea breeze and a slow-moving frontal boundary nearby, so we could see a few more isolated areas of flash flooding today. And of course, the risk doesn't go away tomorrow. It does get a little smaller, but we could still see some heavier rains and isolated flash flooding once again on Saturday. So let's take a look at that forecast for Florida. More scattered showers and storms this afternoon, mainly focused on one side of the peninsula. And then going into Saturday's forecast, once again, a few more isolated showers and storms becoming widely scattered by the afternoon. And some of those storms will be producing some heavier rain, so something to keep an eye on as we head over the next 24 to 48 hours. Here's the rainfall forecast for South Florida. Notice the pockets of heavier rain along the eastern coastline. That's where we'll see potentially a little bit of flash flooding, but the west coastline faring a little bit better, so that's why you're out of the level 2 out of 4 risk for excessive rainfall. But things should improve over the next few days finally for Florida, as the sea breeze will be a little bit less active and that frontal boundary will start moving its way on out. There's, of course, a risk for severe weather today, but it's lowest on the scale, level 1 out of 5 for both places in the southwest and also the northern plains. But for the most part, this will be very isolated in nature. Some stronger gustier winds, the main concern, but maybe some hail, especially for parts of the northern plains going into Montana and Wyoming. We do continue to have that pattern change in the forecast here. Now it's starting to actually progress. So we will see some warmer days across parts of the Midwest and plains. And eventually that heat will be heading off to the East Coast as well. We've been dealing with below average temperatures to start the month of September so far. And that temperature outlook continues to build the heat in over the next several days here, with some really hot weather heading into next week. By the middle and end of next week, we could be talking about temperatures in the 90s for places like Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, and even parts of Wisconsin as that heat continues to build in. Eventually, the warm stuff will make it to the East Coast, but not quite as high intensity as it will be across the plains, where we continue to see those hot temperatures build in. But it is a pattern change nonetheless, and eventually the cool air will battle back. As you can see, going into the later part of the month, the cold air will try to cool things down once again. Before moving on to talk about the tropics that are now active again, I wanted to talk about our new weather app, Storm Chance, that'll be coming out in the next few weeks here. Storm Chance is an impact-based app where we'll be covering major weather events, from hurricanes to tornadoes and severe weather to blizzards in the winter. We'll be covering all these storms and have video updates for your local area. On top of that, we have weather forecasts like every other weather app with accurate weather data, and we have state-of-the-art weather maps as well. Really excited about this app, so leave a comment below if you have any questions or reach out through our website. Now we head over to the Eastern Pacific, where we have Tropical Storm Mario. At the time of this recording, it's still Tropical Storm Mario, and as we head through the afternoon today and over the next several days, it will most likely stay Tropical Storm Mario. Not really developing much, but it'll be out there on the western side of Mexico here and could potentially bring some more moisture to parts of the southwestern U.S., but most likely will remain a fish storm until it runs out of gas. Here's the wind forecast as we head through the next several days here. Notice how Mario really doesn't develop into much. In fact, the models are thinking there's going to be another more substantial storm going into next week. But we'll see what happens. The models can be wrong about this stuff. But even with the National Hurricane Center's forecast, I don't think we're going to see much from Mario. However, we'll be watching for any more development as we head over the next several days here into next week, as there could potentially be another storm system to watch. Now we head over to the Atlantic, where we do have a 40% chance of development, round 2 of potentially developing our next weather system here. The ingredients are coming together, but they don't look all that great once again. So this could be another tease from the Atlantic, but we'll see what happens as we progress through the week ahead. And the next name on that list will be Gabrielle. So this would be the next tropical storm if it does form, and could potentially form into a hurricane if it does strengthen, but the next tropical storm would be Gabrielle. And several more names on the list here. If you do have a name that you think would be the worst storm, leave a comment below. I'd be interested to see what you think could be the worst storm of the season. Here's the American model here over the next several days. Notice how there is a focus of winds on where we should see the next storm system develop, which most likely would be Tropical Storm Gabrielle if it does intensify to this extent. And it'll move eastward and northward just like the last time it came close to developing, but it does eventually fall apart and stay out to sea. So that's the current thoughts from the models here, but anything can happen. This is the time of the year where things can change pretty quickly, so it wouldn't surprise me if we are dealing with a hurricane and potentially something that gets closer to the U.S. We also have some very warm Gulf water temperatures right now, so this is something we'll keep a close eye on. Now, this is based on satellite readings of the Gulf, and it is a little warm here, so this is good fuel for hurricanes to develop if a storm system does form in this area close to record highs. So we'll see what happens as we head over the next week. If there is any sort of development here, a hurricane could develop quickly, but there's other factors at play, including wind shear and also some dry air that comes in from the Sahara all the way across the ocean. So some things we have to keep in mind with the development of any storm here. In the National Hurricane Center will be updating us if anything does form in the Gulf. So looking ahead, we have a few things to watch over the next several days here. Flash flooding is possible, still ongoing into next week. It will just change where it will be over the next few days. But we also have the tropics heating up again, both the Eastern Pacific and the Atlantic starting to heat up, which is not surprising. This is the peak of hurricane season. And we also have the heat coming back into the forecast, one last taste of summer for some parts of the U.S. And with that pattern change, could also bring an increase of stronger storms in the forecast. This is all things we'll be watching as we head over the next several weeks, and we will keep you updated with any changes in the forecast.